Welcome. This is Impact 2022. My name is Nathaniel, and this is our continuing conversation where we talk about a number of different issues from race, religion, current events, everything that you can think of. For those of you who have been here before, this is our continuing conversation. And as a conversation, is your opportunity to participate. And so we ask that if you have any questions or you have any comments, please feel free to type those into the comments section. And as they pop up, we'll be able to address them. And so today will be no different. We will have our conversation, and hopefully, as you see fit, you will add comments and questions into the section. Before we get started, if you hear me clear my throat and, and all this kind of good stuff, it is because I have had COVID. So I caught COVID. One of the many people in the U.S. and across the world who have caught COVID. I appreciate any prayers and well wishes that were given out for me and my family. But yeah, so we will talk as much as we can because even though I am recovered, there is still a little cough and raspiness and whatever going on in my respiratory system, as we say. Also, again, I really want to emphasize the question in the comments. We've had those, and they've been really good. And just to make sure that we continue on with that, and that the conversation doesn't just stop at this moment. Just continue on to put questions and comments in the chat, even after the show, or even if you're not seeing this live. All right. One of the things I want to do is, before we really get into it and get started, is talk about one of the great things that has happened is that we had an opportunity last week to have a different voice come in for Impact 2022. And one of the things that was brought up was, especially here in Virginia, if you don't know, Virginia is where this program is shot or recorded, is that we have a new governor. And it was brought up that he spoke out against CRT, and on his day one of his executive orders was to put in his executive order to eliminate CRT-ish talk in grades K through 12 or public school grades K through 12. And so that was his big signature item. It was discussed last week about the fact that most people don't even know what CRT truly is. A great definition was given. And to continue on with that, now that same governor has set up a hotline so that parents can call in and make complaints anytime they see something determined, and I'm going to air quote, decisive. And that's exactly what was put out there, decisive, as the topics. And so, it's just a continuation of what's going on. It is a 100% attack on people who may think that CRT is necessary, or think that, that sort of thing is a problem. But let's continue on. All right. 2022. So it's a new year. And what a lot of people have is resolutions and different things like that. And so what I brought in is, we have a guest, and we're going to go through some of these resolutions. Some of them are topical and good and funny, and some of them are a little bit more serious, but we're going to go through and get some perspective. And so we have our guest. Maybe we just lost our guest. But I'll give him an opportunity to come in. And we have our guest, Steve. Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's good. All right. So before we get started, let me just ask you, just off top, do you have a New Year's resolution?
Absolutely not. Nope.
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 No little topic. I know some people go, they go in and they get one. I didn't have one either, so don't feel bad.
No, not at all. Because every time a New Year's resolution, it gives you an opportunity to let yourself down. you know.
Oh,
So
hold on 1 second. We have a. I'm gonna get you on here. Have a little audio on my side, but we go ahead and ask you this first question, and we can go right into it. All right, so we're going to talk about different groups who should have resolutions, and just from a light area, because one of the first groups that I think of when I think of who should have a resolution is Black people as a whole.
mm-hmm.
So going into 2020, and when I say resolution, for our standpoint, we're going to talk about things we need to get rid of. And so you think it's just Black people as a whole for 2022. What's one of the things that we need to get rid of? I'll give you one. Mine's a little bit funny, but I think we need to get rid of reality television shows for us. Like, yeah, like real, what is it? Love and Hip Hop or Real Basketball Wives.
Yeah,
I swear, I think we need to get rid of those as Black people. Just limit them a little bit. It's like candy. You can have a little bit, but you can't eat candy all the time. But I would love if we, as a people, would kind of ease up on some of those shows. Those for me, they are the epitome of, hey, y'all, this is how foolish we can be, and this is how foolish you should be. Because some of the people mimic that, especially the young kids. I know you know it because you see some of those kids on a daily basis just mimicking what they see on these reality shows. But as Black people as a whole, give me something. What do you think? One of the resolutions we should have, something that we should get rid of for 2022?
Well, before I go into that, my laptop just gave me a notification saying it's going to restart in 7 minutes. So I just want to give you a heads up. So if I get cut off, that's why. But one thing I think we should, definitely stop as a culture, as a people. We should definitely stop bringing each other down. And I say that, the hating, or the smiling in your face and talking behind your back type thing. It's one of those things where, one person successful, somebody has to criticize it or downplay it. Crabs in the barrel, crabs in the barrel, trying to get to the top, bringing each other down. So one thing I know as a people we need to stop doing is that, we need to support each other more and stop being crabs in the barrel and just be more supportive. It happens everywhere on every kind of level. I see it in elementary schools. It happens in college. You saw it in college. It even happens in the church. And that's one thing I know we've always had a problem with as a culture and as a community. And if we rid ourselves of that and are more supportive towards each other and don't try to bring each other down, it will be dangerous. And the media and the powers that be like that we behave that way. Of course, a lot of people say, yeah, support Black. People are hating on each other, or yeah, he did that. I don't know how long that business is gonna last. He should have been doing something else for his kids, or things like that. So I don't think we should downplay people's dreams and success. That's one thing. But I'm definitely in agreement with the reality TV shows. I cannot agree any. I mean, man, I would love for those to be cut off. But that's my take on
it. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is cops, police. What's one of the things that we think, the problems that we've had over the years, especially recently, as been highlighted through people have been, having their cell phones and their videotaping. What's one of the things when I think of police of one of the things in 2022, like, here's your resolution. This is what you need to get rid of, especially in relationship to the treatment of Black people.
Man, well, I wouldn't say get rid of, but what they need to add. And what one thing police forces throughout the country need to add in all the localities in the country, background checks on recruits that are coming into the academies. Um, what's wrong with having an associate's degree or a 4-year college degree to be a police officer? You have these cats coming out of high school that go into the academy. Those are pretty much children being trained to be police. So I think there needs to be some higher form of educational background and higher form of background checks before people can be, you can give them a gun and badge and tell them to, you know, police the communities that they actually have no clue about. That's just my suggestion. I always, I have to have a license to be a teacher. You have to have a license to drive. You have to have training to be a teacher. You just can't say, I think I want to teach today. Everybody. You can't do that. You have to train yourself. You have to go through training. You have to go through district training. You have to go through, you have to have some kind of license to be a teacher. You have to have a license to drive. And you have to renew your license to teach. You have to renew your license to drive. Police officers need to renew their they need to renew their licenses or their badges. They need to renew. They need to have another background check. If you've been in the force 5 years, okay, let's renew. Let's see how you perform. Let's see your that get easier. And if we did stuff like that in our country, we would not have this issue of police officers abusing their authority. I mean, because it'll be harder to become a cop. It'll be extremely hard. Like, oh, I got to have an associate's degree. I don't like school much. And it would deter a lot of folk that shouldn't have a badge anyway. And then you just have more educated people. You have people that understand psychology courses. If they have to renew, they should have a psychology course to understand what's going on in other people's heads, in other people's community. So social work. They should be sitting in the classes with people studying social work, so you understand what happens. And there goes my laptop.
All right. All right. Having a little technical difficulties there. And I know that Steve's technology was going to cut out at a certain point in time. So hopefully he can get back with us. But I think he made a great point about the New Year's resolution for the cops, for the police. And that's actually been a point that's been batted around in some areas where they were saying that officers needed to have a bachelor's minimum of a bachelor's degree in order to be law enforcement. That's a good observation. A tough one in the sense of that we don't have enough cops as it is, as they say, and so we'll knock out a bunch of people. But I do think that's a good. I think that's a good suggestion. One of the things that I think that needs to be knocked out, and this is one that we've talked about here on the show, is the blue code, and that is the camaraderie or the code between the brothers and sisters that are in the law enforcement, as they say, where they take up for each other and don't snitch on each other or things like that. And so the blue code is definitely one of those things that I think probably needs to go away. All right, I got Steve back here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. I'm sorry, man. My laptop died on me. I'm using my phone.
It's no problem. No problem. We still got you. So let's move on to right to the next one. Churches for 2022. What is one of the things that should be a resolution for churches? And mine is going to be radical because I just have a radical thought about this thing. But mine is for 2022, man. We gotta start calling out the mess. When you hear someone, we got to stop saying that it's up to interpretation. Like, oh, well, that's just how you look at it, and that's how I look at it. I say things like this. You like basketball, I like basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The rules of basketball are there are two ways to advance the ball. You can pass it around, or you can you can pass the ball around, or you can dribble the ball. Those are the two ways to advance the ball up the court. So you can dribble or you can pass. Now, if somebody sat back and said, "That's just your interpretation," I'm going to just grab the ball and just walk it up the court. You wouldn't say, "Well, that's just how you think about it." You'd be like, "Nah, dog, that ain't the rules. That's wrong. You're going against the rules." And so I feel like churches need to stop letting people just say whatever they want out of their mouth and just go ahead and call it out sometimes. Like, oh, that's not what the rules say. That's not what it says. Like, you're making that up. And, sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. But I think that conversation is going to be valuable because there's a bunch of people who get in a bunch of mess and they ride with it. So, yeah. So, Steve, churches, resolution for 2022. What do you think something that churches should do or should stop doing?
Man, I don't know what they should I don't know, what churches should stop doing. I don't know how I would answer that. But what they should continue to do is push what we're mandated to do, as told by Jesus Christ. So one thing churches need to do. Now, there are a lot of mega churches out here, a lot of big churches that, the popular people want to go to, if it's the most popular church or it's the church that has the best worship team and the best choir. That's where people kind of flock to because, it's popular, the music's great. But what's the work, that's being done? So I think the churches need to push their membership to do more, not just come on Sunday to do a song and dance, but to actually, dive deeper into the word, and and the church is not supposed to give you a lot internally that you can give to yourself. And I think the church is a booster, and it's where you learn, and it's where you fellowship. But internally, I think churches should push people to internally be better and to have a focus on what an individual can do better for the kingdom, if you understand what I'm saying. It's like if they dive into the word more and study the word more, and Paul, the letter, the Corinthians, and Galatians and Romans, if they read those, it's pretty much kind of a template on what you can do to be better in the eyes of the Lord and to be better to humans and, mankind. So pretty much just, teach people a little more to love each other and to understand each other. Because if we go back to the beginning and talk about the reality TV shows that we would love to, for be canceled. There's absolutely nothing in those shows that uplifts the kingdom. And media is media, and you want eyes on your show, but at the same time, those eyes aren't being enhanced in their soul. In my opinion, a lot of those shows, they're decreasing. They're becoming less than what they should be. And if it's popular, they're going to run with it. So, that's just my opinion. I don't know if I explained that well or not, but we have to be better. We have to be better. And, the church is kind of the forefront of how, we can push people to. That's what I'm trying to it's continuous learning experience for the world, I guess.
All right.
But that's my opinion.
All right, you were freezing out there a little bit. You're good now.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. One other, we're gonna hit on one other. Hold on, we have a comment here. And it says, some people who claim to be Christian and claim their beliefs are their interpretation must be challenged to show through the word the validity of their behavior. Yeah, that's a good one. You gotta show it to them. You can't just let craziness go on.
That's right.
That's the thing. A lot of people get pushed down the wrong path, and you don't just supposed to sit there and watch them get pushed down the wrong path. It's crazy.
And it's and the thing is, you have these parents out here that allow their children to view these things as well, and it's a lot of I wouldn't say bad parenting, but I would say there is some neglect happening, and it's just a continuous cycle of foolishness, in my opinion, because the culture, people praise foolishness occasionally and praise bad behavior, and it's happening to our children. And sometimes people think it's cute. Oh, that's funny. Oh, she's cute saying that. Or a little 5-year-old or a 4-year-old's cute saying a curse word. And that 5-year-old's going to be 15 saying those same words to his teacher. So we have to check ourselves and not focus on what or what that's
you froze out.
Just,
oh, there you go. You back.
I'm froze. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you froze out a little bit. Well, look, let's run into the last question because our time has gone. As a teacher, in the school system, of course, for parents of kids in the school system, I know there's a lot of things going on because it's been a wild couple of years. What's one of the resolutions for parents that they need to have when it comes to dealing with the teachers, dealing with the school, just dealing in general? What you've seen, because over here in Virginia, man, we done see some craziness from some parents.
Oh yes, the craziness is universal.
The threatening the kid or threatening the school board with guns. Like, I'm gonna bring guns to school if my kid got to wear a mask.
It's not just Virginia.
Craziness in general.
Please forgive me, but it's not just Virginia. It's everywhere. And one thing I would say that parents need to do, they need to kind of, if they had resolutions in terms of, dealing with their families and their children and their academic careers, they need to be more involved. Please forgive me. Being more involved with their students and commenting and, join the PTA and, talk to your teachers, show up for parent-teacher conferences. Because the last since we shut down, what was it, March 2020, you really see the parental involvement or lack thereof. Um, for example, it was a snow day on Friday, so everybody has a device now. Everybody's one-to-one, so we went remote, to avoid weather and there's 7 kids missing. And it was a situation where, okay, there's no kids in this class that have COVID. They were all here yesterday. Where are they now? So it's a disconnect sometimes with our families. I know your mother, your father, my mother, my father. If we were in this situation, you're going to every class on that computer. Where's the schedule? Like, it wouldn't have been, it would not have been a question. And, that's just how we were raised. Only time we missed school, we had a doctor's appointment that could not be scheduled before or after school, or we were sick. Like, not like cough, cough, sniffle, sniffle. We were sick, sick. And that's just how we were raised. And the priorities aren't as strong parentally like our parents. Their priorities were, these boys are going to get up, they're going to eat breakfast, they're going to shower, eat breakfast, go to school, come back from school, do homework, do chores. That's what it was. The priorities aren't high like our parents' priorities were. And a lot of the blame is technology. And also a lot of the blame is just laziness in some situations. Times are easier, things are easier, but at the same time, parents aren't, our parents sometimes struggle to get things done. And, we are the beneficiaries of their struggle. And we don't have it as hard as them because they work hard, so we didn't have to have it hard. So with that happening, entitlement, and I wouldn't say lazy for all people, but there's a level of entitlement and lackluster priorities. And so I would want parents to get involved more with their children academically and socially, and let them put the tablet down for a little bit, and not have their phone. If it's a family dinner, everybody's at home eating, let's not have the phone for about 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Let's talk, because we didn't have phones at dinner at 6 o'clock at night when we were 15, 16 years old. We didn't have iPads. What we had was Nintendo. We had to go to the other room. We had to make sure mom and dad weren't watching TV. And then, boom, that was our tablet. That was our, but, it's not like that now. And, kids are coming out of the womb with an iPad, and we have to not let technology raise our children. And in a lot of situations, technology is raising our children, and they're looking at things we would never have looked at when we were that age. They're learning things that they're looking at on the internet, things, sexual things that their parents aren't even talking to them about. They're seeing on the internet before mom and dad have that talk. And it's scary because they're knowing things that they are not mentally prepared for. Um, so, I see it in the elementary schools all the time, and it's scary. Like, wow, you're 6 years old saying this out of your mouth, where we wouldn't have said it at 16. So, that's one thing I would preach. I would yell at the mountaintop. Just prioritize what your children are doing in school, at home. Be more Oh, what are they looking at for 3 hours? So I've said enough. I'm sorry. I talked for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I was hey, you hit on so many good points there. So many good points. Because you're right, we didn't have any of that technology. And you're right, man. What are you looking at in all this time? Because all these kids have devices. I gotta check myself all the time now. Trying hopefully, as I see kids and even my own, it's like, hey man, I hope he ain't on the device too much. So
I mean, and that's the thing. It's so
yeah,
accessible and so easy.
man. Well, look, we we could talk all day, man. I appreciate like you gave some really good insight today. I appreciate you joining us. Our time has gone quick, like always. And so just to wrap up for everybody out there, regardless of whether you believe in New Year's resolutions or not, um, this was a little bit more of a fun topic, but at the same time, it's a serious topic. There's some things that we all need to do, and the suggestions that were made today, um, you can't expect organizations to do this on their own. And because we are members of society and we're members of these organizations, it's our job to think about these things. What should churches be doing? What should cops be doing? What should teachers, parents and blah, 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 blah. We got to think about it. And then we got to voice it out and get it done. So again, I appreciate all of your thoughts and your opinions today, Steve. And feel free to join us anytime.
Yes.
And so again, this is Impact 2022. We'll be here again next week, as we are every week. Thank you for joining us and have a